Astronauts to the moon.
Ignition sequence start. 3, 2, 1.
Houston, we have a problem.
Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
We copy you on the ground. You got a bunch of guys about to turn blue.
What you're seeing here is a mirage.
What's going on, everyone? It's Jeranism back with another video for you today. The curvature test. Well, coming soon. Nothing is set in stone yet, but today I wanted to talk about it and then ask for comments or concerns, suggestions, and ideas. And we'll go from there. So first, let's go through kind of a quick overview. So, the curvature test. It is 2 tests on one day, and the test will be at a slough in the Sacramento area. And that slough has a river that's 3 miles, totally straight, where we will answer the question, does the Earth curve 72 inches over 3 miles distance? I think that the test will be fun, fairly easy, and will be able to give us an answer to our question. We will be using 2 high-end leveled lasers and a theodolite, and so, time to find out. And now I will cover the details a little closer so that you might have a better understanding of why I chose this particular experiment, why I feel it'll show me an answer one way or the other, and what, at the very least, do I expect to see from this experiment. I'll also be asking for your comments or concerns, so let's get into it. The curvature test. Okay, so here we go. This test is based off of the basic idea that water always finds its level, something globe believers and flat earthers both believe, with one major difference. Flat earthers believe that water finds its level and hence remains level. Level is in a plane. Globe believers, they use the same term, level, but they mean level as in equal distance from the center of a sphere. So the question then becomes, is there a way that we can tell through measurements or determine, is water level because it's equal distance from the center of the Earth, or is the Earth a flat and level plane? Of course, flat earthers believe that the flat plane has peaks and valleys, oceans, lakes, islands, etc., but they believe that water is always level. At no time is water upside down compared to another water. If someone in the USA is having a drink, say at the beach, and also at the same time somebody's in Australia, also at the beach, and also having a drink, well, those two people are both upright in respect to each other. Nobody is upside down compared to another. The globe believer believes that at any time, ships, tankers, planes, and birds, rivers, and lakes are always running upside down compared to one other spot, say opposite on the globe. Of course, we all know that's kind of ridiculous, so they do use a metaphysical idea that we all occupy the top of the globe, as if it's only important for each of us to concentrate on our own personal perspective, so every person gets the top of the ball. Well, I feel that there is a way to finally measure and prove which is actually true. Enter the curvature test. So if water lies flat and level, then a straight line, like one from a laser, if leveled at one end, should be 72 inches higher after 3 miles. Using the generally accepted curvature formula of 8 inches per mile squared, we have 3 miles, so we have 8 inches times 3 times 3, which is 72 inches, or 6 feet. Alright, so as I said, there is a slough near Sacramento, California. You are looking at it now. That is one of the offshoots of the Sacramento River. The total distance is actually closer to 4 miles, but for this test, we will be doing 3. Now, it may look like it's kind of short, but if you take a look at the center of your screen towards the bottom, you'll see how tiny a truck is. Sitting right there, you'll see the white truck. So it is a lot further than it looks from here. Now, we're going to take another view. This is a view looking the other direction. Coming back, you'll see that area. Now, if you look on your right, you're going to see a yellow dot. That yellow dot is actually where the laser, as well as the theodolite, will be set up. So now we've turned the view again, and you'll see that that pink circle is exactly the same spot. That is where we will be setting up. Now we're looking from above, and again, you'll see the yellow dot. You'll also see that I marked some spots here that can be used for parking for those who are going to join us on that day. Alright, and as we pan back to take a look at the whole scene again, you'll see that the pink circle's down there. You'll also see that I've now marked off the entire 3 mile distance according to Google Earth. And then now you'll see that I also put red dots at each half mile marker. So that constitutes the entire 3 mile, 6 sections of 1/2 mile each. So now I'm going to go over some of the things that are needed for this test. It's a short list and also not very expensive. First item being that we need 7 of these orange buckets. After that, we're going to be purchasing some posts. They are 4 inches by 4 inches by 8 feet. And we're going to be needing 7 of those, which puts us at about $10 each, or $70. We're also going to be purchasing 4 bags of natural play sand, and that will be to place that into the buckets, which will secure our posts. And then we're also going to add a little bit of concrete mix to hold those even better. We'll just put a little bit in each one, and then we'll have those posts secured. I'll also have my tripod, and my laser is set up with the adapter so that it sits right on top of the tripod. And speaking of the laser, we have 2 of them, thanks to Bob for providing the second one. We have a 3-watt laser and also a 2-watt laser. Both of them are blue beam, and we'll talk a little bit more about the lasers towards the end. We'll also have our 6800 lumen portable sun. The thing is awesome, and we will have that with us as well. Now, some other items that we have yet to purchase because I wanted to get some input from everybody. This here is a Johnson level and tool. It's for pitch and slope locations. Might be nice to have. Also, we want digital levels, so like this one here. You will see it's about $45 for this one, but it's magnetic. We think it would be great to put on the laser to make sure it's level. There's also these little digi-passes. It's a mini pocket-sized digital level. I guess the question becomes, what do you think is better? Is it better to get one of the best leveling devices that they have, or obviously within range? I've seen some for around $80, $90. Or do you think it's better to get 2 less expensive ones? In my opinion, I think I'd rather have 2 less expensive ones, because otherwise we're banking entirely on one digital level. If we get 2, say 2 at $30 a piece or $40 a piece, then we can wait until both levels read level. And I think that's a better feeling for me than one $80 level telling me it's level. I'd rather have 2 $40 levels telling me that we're level. So I'd appreciate your comments on that. We'll also be renting a theodolite for just 1 day. It's about $43 for the day is the price. It is a standard features David White model LT6 900, located very close to the place where we'll be. So I've already talked to those people, and that's been set up. Here's a picture of what that theodolite looks like. Also, we'll be purchasing just a small can of white paint. You're talking about $1 here, nothing more. And lastly, I'll be bringing my drill with a 2-inch drill bit. Besides that, guys, that is pretty much the items needed for the test. So let's get down to it. All right, and so here's kind of a master list of everything that we're going to need. We have the buckets with the posts in them. We have actually 2 lasers, a 2-watt and a 3-watt, not just one. The tripod, we've got the white paint. We've got the slope detector. We've got the level. We've got the portable sun, the drill, and the theodolite. So after that, we can begin the test. So, like I said, we'll be starting over here into this pink spot. We'll make sure we have a nice level, flat spot for the setup of the tripod and the laser, and then also that same location will be used for the theodolite. Now we'll drop down and get a view from that little side street there, and you'll see we just got a straight shot road heading off down the slough. So what we'll do the day before or whatever is we'll get those buckets ready with the posts inside of them, and then we'll load my truck up so that they're all ready to go. Then what we'll do when we get there is start traveling down the road with the truck, measuring half-mile distances, at which point we will drop off each bucket with the post inside of it. So by the end of that little trek, we'll have 6 buckets, each a half-mile away from the laser location, all the way down at the final one at 3 miles away. Let's continue. So when completed, you'll see something kind of like this. Obviously, these buckets and posts will be much further away from each other. It won't quite look like this, but just for demonstration purposes. So if we take a look again at that original wide shot so we can see the entire slough, I'm going to need you to pretend like you're on the right side for now, looking across to the side where we'll be doing the activities. This way it's just easier to explain. So let's head over there. You'll see those orange boxes are meant to kind of represent where the buckets would be, and you are the yellow dot again with your eyes fixed across the slough. All right, as I'm sure you can see, this is obviously way scaled down, but it is a good representation of the test, and it will help me explain exactly what we plan on doing. So the first thing will be, once everything's set up and lined up, is we will shoot the laser, which will then hit the first post. When it does, what we'll do is we'll take out that drill with the 2-inch drill bit, and we're going to drill right through the post at exactly the place where the laser hit it. We can mark it off, we'll turn off the laser, drill through it, and then we will have our first post hole done. At that point, we're also going to take a little bit of white paint and just paint that exact spot on the outside so that somebody from our vantage point here would be able to see exactly where that hole was. Next step will be to again turn on the laser. This time it will go through and hit post number 2. So you kind of get the point now here. We will take the drill out again, drill through post number 2. We will then take the white paint and also mark post number 2, and so on and so forth down the line until we get all the way down to the 3rd mile and the 6th post. Now I'll talk about it in a second, but really at this point we're going to know one way or the other what's going on. In fact, you'll probably know by the 3rd or 4th post. We won't even need to get this far before we kind of have our answer. Regardless, we will be finishing the test in its completion because we also have some other things we're testing, as well as a way to ensure that the results are definitive. So once that light goes all the way down and hits that 6th post and is going through it, we are going to then take the theodolite, which is also going to be set up where the laser was set up. And again, remember, everything was leveled. And when we take the theodolite and look through those holes, what do you think we'll see? Well, we're going to take the portable sun and we're going to pass it back and forth across that last hole. And the hope will be that the theodolite sees something like you see on your screen now, the light passing back and forth in front of it. Now, it is possible, and if I was a betting man, I might be betting on this outcome. It is possible at this point that we would find out that either the laser is not straight or a theodolite does not measure straight. That would take place when the theodolite, instead of seeing the light pass back and forth, actually saw wood, as in it was following along the open holes, but at some point it began to look off-center. So that is a possibility. If that did happen, that would be monumental, though, because what we would have done is prove that either lasers are not straight or theodolites don't measure straight. And, I tend to think that it would be the theodolite that we would have proven isn't correctly measuring level across great distances, such as 3 miles. So then what we're going to do once we have that all completed is we're going to bring the theodolite over to the other side, now the side that we're on. And the very first thing we would do is we'd measure the distance between the water level and the white mark. That is the true measurement of level. Now, as we take steps towards the end, and we won't do each one, we will just go all the way to the last post and we'll measure it because, guess what? As crazy as it sounds, if you believe in the ball earth, if you are a globe believer, then you believe that when we measure the distance from the water level to the drilled hole, that it'll be 6 feet different than the original one. So that's what I mean by we will know by the 3rd, 4th post, are we starting to drill much higher into the post each time, so high that by the 5th post we're at 4.2 feet, and by the last post we'll be at 6 feet. That'd be quite a big change, and that's why many people may have heard me say already that this test would be a definitive test for me. If I get to that last post and I am drilling a hole 6 feet higher on that post than I drilled in the first spot, I cannot walk away with that with any other conclusion but that the earth curves, and as a result so does water. Now, I don't think that'll happen. I don't think there's any chance that that happens, but if it does, I have no other excuse. There's nothing else I can say. It would be true that the earth curves. Now, does it mean NASA's not lying to me? No. I'll still have that belief, but as far as the ball earth, well, I'd have to concede that one because we measured it, and clearly there's nothing else that could have taken place that would cause us to be 6 feet higher after 3 miles because we know that the water's level. What that would prove is that the water is level, it's an equal distance away from the center of the earth, and that really it's level, but it's curving. So that's what this test will ultimately show. In my opinion, we will be drilling the hole pretty much the exact same spot as we drilled the first one. Let's stay here real quick because I think that this is an important moment. There's an important point here that we don't want to miss. And you may ask how I'm so confident in what these results will be. And let me tell you, and any flat earther, anybody who has become a flat earther has already gone through this. They've already recognized this and accepted this because it is all part of a thought problem or a thought experiment. Other people, those who believe in the globe, simply defer to what men say. And I do know what men say, but let me show you why they're going to be wrong. So to the globe believers out there, this is an opportunity for you to jump ship while you still have time. This should tell you why the Earth is flat. This should explain it quite simply, just this thought experiment, but let's go ahead and try it out. If we take this view and we swing it around as I did here so that we're looking at the entire 3 miles left to right, and the great thing is people will be able to do this the day of the event. You can actually just go for a walk over there, turn around and see the laser that we're shooting go through all 6 beams. Because if it were to turn out that when shooting this laser across from the left to the right, that we were 6 feet higher on the post when we got to the far right, the 3 mile mark, then that would mean that that white line I just drew is the shape of the Earth, that it's going downhill, which means the water would be running out of the river that way. And it does not, because water finds its level. So you can't have one end of the river lower or higher than the other, or else the water will flow in that direction. Yet nothing of the sort will happen, because the Earth is a flat and level plane. But we will be testing to find that out, won't we? So now that we've completed that test, and no matter the outcome, whether it went towards the ball side or towards the flat side, we're going to still do one more experiment, because it's a perfect time to do so with the theodolite on the other side of the river. The theodolite can actually measure the distance between the water level and wherever we decide to set up the laser pointer, and that we have 2 of them helps us a lot. Now what we'll do is we'll remove some of the buckets so that it leaves only distances of 1 mile and 2 mile separation, and then we're going to set up both lasers at exactly equal heights, level them both off perfectly, and then shoot the lasers at each other. Of course, we should see a crisscross pattern. There should be no possible way that the lasers hit where they originated on the other side. That would be impossible on a ball Earth. They should crisscross. Another way to test this is we will lower one of the lasers 6 inches below the other, and then we will shoot them both straight across. If the beams maintain those 6 inches of separation, again, that means the Earth is flat, because what should happen is each laser should cross each other and end up higher than the other. So even at just 1 mile, which is 8 inches of curvature, then technically when we shoot both beams across at each other, they should end up 2 inches higher than the originating beam on the other side. That's because that's 8 inches and they were already lowered 6 inches. So that should be pretty definitive. We're also going to do it at 2 miles, because at 2 miles you would see 32 inches of change, definitely a crisscross, and they should both be ending up, almost 3 feet higher than the originating beam. Now for some little housekeeping items. Number 1, the best time to do this test will be, in my opinion, done between 3 p.m. and 10 p.m. The tides that come in will only be about 1 foot of difference if we measure between the hours of 3 and 10 p.m. If you look at the tide sheet, you'll see that they range from about a half foot to 3 feet, which is 2.5 feet, but we can actually catch the tide on the parabola. So what we'll want to do is, as it's rising, we would start measuring when it's 2 feet high, and then over the course of the next several hours, it's going to go up as high as 3 feet, but then start coming back down again to 2 feet. This way, we're only in between that 1 foot period of time. And then also, any measurements we do, as long as they're close together, of course, the tide will be the same. So if we measured at 3 p.m. and then at 10 p.m., which there'd be no reason to do that, there would only be a foot of change. So the tides really won't have much impact. There is no swell, as it is a river. And lastly, one of the interesting things is it's listed as having exactly the 1013.25 HPA, which is exactly the standard atmospheric pressure. Other great things about this experiment is by doing it on the side of the road like that, we're not going to be subjected to the kind of atmospheric distortion that we might be seeing across the ocean, or like was seen in the Bedford Level experiment, where they blamed a lot on refraction as well. There shouldn't be any refraction up to the side of that hill, and it's generally going to be the same temperature, obviously, at both ends of the 3 mile stretch. So we should eliminate any issues that might have to do with that. Another great thing about the experiment is by doing it towards the evening, doing our measurement then, we'll have a much better view of the blue lasers since it'll be getting near nighttime. And on top of that, we will also get rid of any lingering heat effects that might cause atmospheric distortion there above the street. So all things considered, I think it is a fantastic experiment. I think it's going to really tell us something, and we'll all walk away from that day having learned something. So like I said, the plan is to do it towards the evening, and we want a lot of people there if they want to come and join us, or else if not, Missa and I will do it. So the last thing I wanted to talk about is the lasers. So as for the lasers, we have two really nice lasers, one 3 watt, one 2 watt. And now these lasers have what's called a beam divergence factor, but unfortunately they're listed as a beam divergence of, and then it says less than 5.0 mrad. Now if you go to a calculator and figure out what that is, and you put it in with this laser and the distance we're trying to shoot it, it comes out that the beam divergence would be 25,001 millimeters after 3 miles. Well, 25,001 millimeters is 984 inches, or 82 feet. Now here's the issue with that. What they're saying is that's the maximum that you can make it, but they don't tell you the minimum. So that becomes a bit of a problem. Now, the reason it's not too much of a problem is because they do make beam focusers or beam condensers. They are very expensive, however. Usually, there's some that I've found that are $60 or $70, but they go up as high as $500 or even more. So what Missa and I are going to do, and this is totally on us, nobody has to worry about this, is we're going to be running a test here in the next couple nights. We think we have a location. It's hard to find. What you need to have is a location 3 miles away from another location where you can shoot the beam and have somebody measure exactly what that diameter of the beam is when it gets 3 miles across. We can't do it over the ocean like we did last time because there could be atmospheric effects or the lensing causing the beam divergence to be even greater. So there's a lot of things we have to look at, but we're going to basically do it over dry land and try to gauge exactly how big that beam will be when it reaches the 3 mile mark. Now, some of you may remember the infamous night, gosh, it's almost 2.5 years ago now, that Bob called the police on me. That was the night that we were doing the 4 mile test, and if you remember correctly, we shot the laser pointer across 4 miles, and when it got to the other side, it had a 10-foot beam diameter. Again, that was a 1 watt laser, and now we have both a 2 and a 3 watt. So the hope is that we shouldn't have the same issue, but again, until I measure it, I won't know, and then if we measure it and it is quite large, then we'll have to get a beam focuser, and here's one on the screen here that I found. It lists at $60, which is one of the cheaper ones because it's only a 3 times magnification. Usually you see up to 10 times magnification. Also, I've seen, as you can look at this video here, somebody use a magnifying glass before. Now, it sounds easy enough, but then I start questioning, well, if your angle of the magnifying glass is wrong, isn't that going to set off the whole thing? So I'd rather not do that if at all possible. All right, and then I'll just close out with one little example as we finish watching the last of these balloons pop. 101. Congratulations. All right, so if you're looking here and you kind of pay attention to the last stick, let's just pretend that that's at the 3 mile mark, you can see the issue that we would have if we had a large diameter of the beam at the end. Now, it looks like it might be an issue, but then again, we can also think of it as obviously we're going to see a circle, and we could simply just grab a measuring tape and measure to where the middle of that circle is. So I think, high hopes would be less than a foot of beam divergence. I'm not sure we can get that low, but that'll be my job over the coming couple weeks to figure out exactly what we need to do to get that beam as small as possible. And there's lots of other little contingency plans that could work if we can't get it low, but there's enough products out there, and if I've got to go buy one, I definitely will. I don't think we need any crowdfunding. I didn't do any kind of GoFundMe or anything for this experiment. As always, if you'd like to donate, you can donate to paypal.me/Jaron, and you can on there place under the notes that it's for the experiment. That would be awesome. If there was enough money there, then I could get one of the best beam condensers. So we'll just have to wait and see how that all goes. But again, I want to get everyone's feedback on how they feel about the experiment as a whole. So let's give you the website to go to for that. And so I would absolutely love to hear your comments, ideas, suggestions. Did I miss something? Are you a laser guru and have a do-it-yourself beam condenser idea? Or are you a surveyor in the Sacramento area or Bay Area willing to man the theodolite? Whatever it might be, you can go to bit.ly/curveform. And it's just a short form to fill out saying your suggestion or your idea, whatever. And then you can also go to bit.ly/curvefb, and that's to see all the comments, and you can even comment on them yourself or comment on any of the suggestions. So I will be looking at those ideas and seeing who wants to help and what their ideas are. And then the plan is, as soon as I have the laser diameter known, then we will schedule the day, and I'll let everybody know the changes, and I'll give the exact date and time. And don't worry, I'll make sure that I give at least a week's notice. I want to do that because I would love to see you guys come by if you can. If you're in the greater Bay Area and you want to come by and say hello while we are testing the globe, as Skiba would say, then that'd be great to see you. So I don't think I forgot anything. If I did, well, you'll hear from me again. So be kind and don't lie and open your mind, because there's truth inside. Thanks for watching, guys. You guys are the best. And if you enjoy the work, I couldn't do it without you, and I couldn't do it without all the patrons. If you'd like to join us, either at Patreon or over at our Discord chat, head to patreon.com/jeranism. And if you just want to watch my videos for free, well, then you can do so. I've always promised that all my videos will forever be free. And this has been Jeranism. Until next time, peace!
Astronauts to the moon.
Ignition sequence start. 3, 2, 1.
Houston, we have a problem.
Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
We copy you on the ground. You got a bunch of guys about to turn blue.
What you're seeing here is a mirage.
What's going on, everyone? It's Jeranism, back with another video for you today. The curvature test. Well, coming soon. Nothing is set in stone yet, but today I wanted to talk about it and then ask for comments or concerns, suggestions, and ideas. And we'll go from there. So first, let's go through kind of a quick overview. So, the curvature test. It is 2 tests on one day, and the test will be at a slough in the Sacramento area. And that slough has a river that's 3 miles, totally straight, where we will answer the question, does the Earth curve 72 inches over 3 miles distance? I think that the test will be fun, fairly easy, and will be able to give us an answer to our question. We will be using 2 high-end leveled lasers and a theodolite, and so, time to find out. And now I will cover the details a little closer so that you might have a better understanding of why I chose this particular experiment from the center of a sphere. So the question then becomes, is there a way that we can tell through measurements or determine, is water level because it's equal distance from the center of the Earth, or is the Earth a flat and level plane? Of course, flat earthers believe that the flat plane has peaks and valleys, oceans, lakes, islands, etc., but they believe that water is always level. At no time is water upside down compared to another water. If someone in the USA is having a drink, say at the beach, and also at the same time somebody's in Australia, also at the beach, and also having a drink, well, those 2 people are both upright in respect to each other. Nobody is upside down compared to another. Why I feel it'll show me an answer one way or the other, and what, at the very least, do I expect to see from this experiment. I'll also be asking for your comments or concerns, so let's get into it. The curvature test. Okay, so here we go. This test is based off of the basic idea that water always finds its level. Something globe believers and flat earthers both believe, with one major difference. Flat earthers believe that water finds its level and hence remains level. Level is in a plane. Globe believers, they use the same term, level, but they mean level as in equal distance from. The globe believer believes that at any time, ships, tankers, planes, and birds, rivers, and lakes are always running upside down compared to one other spot, say opposite on the globe. Of course, we all know that's kind of ridiculous, so they do use a metaphysical idea that we all occupy the top of the globe, as if it's only important for each of us to concentrate on our own personal perspective, so every person gets the top of the ball. Well, I feel that there is a way to finally measure and prove which is actually true. Enter the curvature test. So if water lies flat and level, then a straight line, like one from a laser, if